this year we are creating another DIY candy cane video. This time I'm gonna use a clay, so we are creating a DIY candy cane ornament. So I haven't used clay before, but I just thought it will be fun to play with clay. But I find polymer clay is a bit expensive, so my idea was to practice with like a normal molding clay, and if I'm happy by the end of this project, then maybe I can create an actual ornament that I can display on my tree. So the process will be just the same. The only difference is you have to put it in the oven so that it will harden and you can actually hang it to your tree. So just keep watching this video and see what I have learned along the way while I'm creating this project, so you don't have to do the same mistake. Keep watching this video. So for this project, I'm using this modeling clay, and I also have these claying tools that we're gonna use to form our ornament. When you just open it up, it feels really hard, but the longer you play with it and you leave it outside, the softer it gets. I started with one whole bar of the modeling clay and then tried to play it around and make it rounded. And after you create a round shape, you're gonna use a rolling tool to flatten it up to create a cylinder shape. I just tried to smoothen it out as much as I can, and don't forget to smoothen the side as well. And I also did the same thing on the red clay, and I tried to put it side by side and roll them together to make sure that they have the same size. Then I'm gonna cut both of this clay like a pie. I'll just put it on my cutting board and just following the line to cut this clay. After cutting the clay, I separate the individual pie. I will alternately position the red and white together to make the whole pie. After transferring alternately, you'll have two sets of alternate color of this pie. Since I didn't cut it perfectly, it's really hard to put them together, but I just tried to squish them together to create the whole circle. One lesson I've learned from doing this is make sure that there's no hole in the middle, because when you're rolling it, it will separate even more. So try to connect the pie as much as you can, especially the middle part. Then I use this rolling pin again just to help to bind them together. After that, I compressed it and roll it to make it longer. So the idea is when I cut it, I'll create a couple or a multiple peppermint round candy. But it didn't work that way because the clay is really soft, and every time I cut it, the shape is just deformed. Here, I'm just showing you what will happen if the middle part is not connected. The hole will become bigger and bigger while you're rolling it. So what I did to fill in the hole is by just pressing them together and rolling it back again so that it will be more compressed and continue to making it longer. I also tried to put this on the fridge, hoping that when I cut it while it's cold and a little bit hardened, I can maintain the shape. Unfortunately, it's still not giving me the right shape. So at this point, I feel like this DIY was a failed, but I don't want to waste the clay and just keep on going and see where it can leads me. So I just keep on rolling this clay to make it longer. And then I realized it will be really nice to twist it. So I started twisting it. And then I just make a curve in the end and I created my candy cane. This wasn't the initial plan that I'm thinking to create, but that's okay. I still create a nice big candy cane that we can add on our Christmas decoration. And if you are using a polymer clay, you can just put it in the oven to harden this and add a little bit of ribbon before you hang it to your tree. And for our next project is to create a round peppermint ornament. So what I'm doing here is to create a flat round shape for our white and red. I use any round shape material to use a pattern to create a circle. And the same thing, I will cut it like a pie. Again, I did not create a perfect cut. I'm just trying to fit in the individual pie to create the circle. After you create two of this, I'm gonna get a red clay and mold it round. This is what we're gonna use inside the two circles, and I'm hoping to create like a swirl in the middle. For that, we're gonna attach both sides, and I'm just trying to align the white and reds together so when we are going to roll this, it looks more connected. And to make a swirl, you're gonna use a dish. It's better to use a transparent one so you can really see if you are creating a swirl. So when I'm doing this, it's a bit difficult to make a swirl. So when I was doing this, I feel like it's hard to create a swirl. It keeps on moving and it keeps on coming back and forth. So that's why I'm not creating a proper swirl. Color is also messing up. So the red color is also transferring to the white clay. We didn't have enough detail, so I added more red clay in between the white part. Then I pressed the additional clay to the existing one and continue doing the swirl. So I've learned that when you are creating this, you should not stop the motion when you're creating the swirl, because the moment you stop, it will move back to a different direction and you are losing the swirl. So that's why we didn't have a perfect swirl, but I think this swirl is pretty decent. And so this is what we came up to. You really have to create the right shape for each of the pie so that when you connect them, it will look seamless. So for our third project, we are creating a bubbles. So what are we gonna do is to just keep rolling a clay to make a long piece. So we're gonna use all the three colors, the red, white, and green, or you can also just use red and white for this project. So once you have all the same level, what you're gonna do is just twist all these three colors together. Just keep twisting it. It looks like a twisted marshmallow to me. Keep rolling it using your palm on the surface, binding them together. So you're gonna create a long piece of this clay. Use a bubble that you don't use anymore, and then you're gonna stick it on the very top part of your bubbles. Just keep wrapping it around the bubbles, making sure there's no space. Once you reach the end of your clay, so all you have to do is just do the same process and then just continue attaching it where you end. I think this is the most easiest out of the clay project that we're doing. But I was thinking, because we're using bubbles, you couldn't put this on a oven because you have a plastic bubbles and you could not put that in the oven definitely. But what you can do is, if you could find an air dry clay, then that should work. Okay, moving forward for our fourth project. This I think is the most fun to do, is to create a house of candy cane. First thing to do is draft a drawing on how the house would look like and how you would like to decorate it. Then I use this carton as a base. So if I would have a brown clay, I'll probably use a brown clay so I can put it in the oven. But because we don't have brown clay and it's just more like a practice, so I'm just using this cardboard. I just draw the house, so it's just like, the square and a triangle on top. I wish I could have make it more wider. I feel like this is more a rectangular house than a square house. After you cut it, you'll have this as a base for your ornament. And whatever's left from our clay earlier, I make it longer and use it as a side of the house. Before I attach the red, green, and white sides, I also added a white clay at the bottom that will mimic like a snow. Then I just continue attaching the side of the house. I make the candy cane even longer and thinner so I can attach it in the middle as a door and a window. I also added a small red circle to make a doorknob. I also use a white clay to create a snow on the roof. Using this clay tool really helps to create the shape and the texture of the clay. I wanted to create like a wreath in the middle, so I use a green clay and make a round shape using the clay tool to create the texture of the wreath. After attaching the wreath in the house, I make a small circles to look like a cherry that will decorate the wreath. Next, I have this leftover red and white candy cane. If you don't have it yet, just scroll back at the beginning where you can see how I create it. Then I create a candy cane shape and attach it on top of the roof. With the same red and white clay, I make it even longer and thinner and make a round shape to create a peppermint decoration around the house. You can be creative with it. You can attach it anywhere in the part of your house, but I just tried to have like a bigger one at the bottom and a small peppermint on top of the house. There you have your candy cane house ornament. And for our last DIY project, I'm gonna create a peppermint candy or like a lollipop candy. So we're just gonna roll it in the surface to make it a very long clay. And then what I'm going to have is 2 white and 1 red. Then I'll just gonna twist them together to create this twisted look of red and white. Then after that, you're gonna start in the middle and keep rolling and wrapping it around to create this candy cane lollipop. And if it is a polymer clay, make sure to make a hole before you put it in the oven so you'll able to tie a ribbon to hang it in your tree. So here is our lollipop peppermint. You can also add a stick to make it more like a lolly and a ribbon to decorate it. Thank you for watching and staying with me up to this point, and let me know if you try using clay for your decoration. If you like this video, please don't forget to like and share this video. And if you are new to this channel, please subscribe and click the notification bell as I always create DIY videos like this. Bye!